Hi, I'm Dr. Kimberlee Johnson from Fellowship of Women Clergy. Welcome to part 3 in our series of messages on integrity in preaching. Integrity in preaching. Integrity is that quality of character whereby people are consistent between their convictions and their behaviors. And in this segment, we're going to focus on this aspect of integrity, and that is being honest with ourselves and with others about who we are and what we can do. I shared before, Psalm 32 verse 2 says this: "Blessed is the one whose sin the Lord does not count against them, and in whose spirit is no guile." And guile just means deceit. So we're going to talk about being honest with ourselves and with others. My mouth. Finding my own voice. When you read the Bible, you'll see that Paul, he doesn't sound like Luke, and Luke doesn't read like John. Certainly Jesus didn't sound like John the Baptist. All of these men use their own voice, their own personality, and their own style to communicate the things that God gave them to say. In Jeremiah 23:30 it says, "Therefore, declares the Lord, I am against the prophets who steal from one another words supposedly from me." Wow, that's a deep verse. Listen to that again. He says, I'm against the prophets that do two things. They steal from one another words. In other words, they copy what they hear other prophets or so-called prophets say. And then there's not even the assurance that those words are even from God. But instead of using their own mouths and finding their own voice, they're simply repeating what they hear others say. So let me give you some warning signs to help you figure out if you might be an imitator. You know, recently I heard someone share this quote, and it was written by Phillips Brooks, who was a 19th century Episcopal clergy. He wrote the lyrics to A Little Town of Bethlehem. And Brooks said this: "Preaching is truth through personality." Isn't that nice? Truth through personality, your own personality. So here are some warning signs that we may be imitators. Number 1, do you repeat what others say? You know, sometimes we become like parrots, and we simply mimic what we've heard other teachers and communicators say. Sometimes they're just popular phrases that we repeat. We don't even know what they mean half the time. We just think they sound good, and because we haven't been before God to ask Him what He would have us to say, we just copy what we hear other people say. Name it and claim it. Blab it and grab it. Decree and declare it, right? We say these things, but they really aren't coming from us. Number 2, when someone else is preaching, do you imagine using their style? It's okay to be who you are, to be how God made you. Recently, I took one of those online surveys to try to come up or try to figure out what category of preaching style I would be in. And so I took this survey. I don't even remember, what website it was from. But my style came up as a storyteller / teacher. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty much on. When I'm preaching, I like to tell stories. I like to give illustrations. And I'm always teaching. That's my style. Sometimes we see other people and we admire how they communicate, and then we want to use their particular style, but it really doesn't fit with our personality. And so instead of, oops, sorry about that. And so instead of being a preacher, we become an actor. Number 3, are you uncomfortable with your presentation? Do you ever have times when you stand up and you give a message and you just feel uncomfortable with what you did? You did something so far out of your zone. It just wasn't even you. It was just a mimic of somebody else. You stood up and you used props. You hate using props. You have handouts. You never use handouts. It's not you. If you feel terribly uncomfortable with how you're presenting, it might be that you're not just being yourself. Number 4, do you compare yourself with others? Or worse, do you always compare yourself with a specific person? Fill in the blank. I'm always comparing myself with Mary or whoever that might be. No need to do that. The Holy Spirit has called and gifted each preacher, and He wants to communicate truth through our personalities. We don't have to be another person in order to be effective in our communication. So, words of wisdom. Number 1, be yourself. Everyone else is taken. I love that quote. That's Oscar Wilde. Number 2, if you keep copying others, then you will never find your voice. That's really important. We got to find our own groove, and it might take months, even years for that to happen. But I tell you, once you get in that zone where it's you and God and the Lord just uses you, you'll be so happy in that place. You'll be so comfortable in that place. And then lastly, let people give you feedback. Sometimes we need folks to point out to us when we have had a message that just kind of fell flat. A lot of times people can see when we're not being ourselves, and we can fake the funk for a lot of folk. But people who know us well, we need to be open to their feedback after we preach. And remember, learning skills is a good thing. There are ways we can improve in our preaching. For example, we might need to learn to project our voice, or to use certain inflections, or how to organize a message in a way that makes sense. So I'm not saying that we can't learn techniques and that we can't learn methods for being more effective communicators. But what I am saying is that the Lord gave us unique personalities, and He wants us, 1, to sit before Him and hear what He has to say to us, and then 2, communicate that to others in our own voice, with our own style and our own personality. And if I were to give you a motion or something just to remember this point, my mouth, finding my voice, it would be this.